Hi, I'm Mayar. Welcome to a second video of the IBM MQ. On this one, I'm gonna explain how we create a queue manager on the MQ and how we should create all type of local queue through the command line, and also I would show you if you want to create a graphical. So let's application 1 want to communicate with the application 2. Application 1 will issue the MQ put call and put a message right here. So the queue manager is, let me show you on a and right here in the because you will see that makes sense more for you. This is the queue manager. So this queue manager is a primary component of this MQ. This can store the data. You see, you can come and create queue manager. It can store the data. It can route that data. This is the job of a queue manager. They should, when the data come, when the application issue the call to one of the queue, you should know to route the data to a specific queue, because, and also this qmgr not only talk with their own queue, it talk with outside world too. It could talk to a different Java API service. We have like and also there's a different type of property. If you could come and check right here, we could change the property according to the needs. We could bring the changes on that. We do the administration work. We could create all the triggering system, all type of local environment, listen and channel. All the administration work is belong to that queue manager. So also it issue the working with the application to get call, put call to all type of call, like open call, close call, and MQ put, MQ get call, all type of call. If you want to learn more about those call, go to this this site called medium.com, and there's a little bit good information if you want to read it about the major call. It has a MQ connection to queue manager, and they explain all type of, and they're telling you what is messaging is, means that program communicate with each other through sending data, queuing mechanism which they hold the data, and the message queue interface, like, and the all type of the course call they have. This is the major call, and they explain it what which one does what. So let's come back. That was the queue manager. There's the primary component. Once again, it route the data to the particular queue. It work with all type of the call, and also talking with the outside the world. And we do the some administration work. We do all. We could change the property the MQ call. So all type of stuff we doing on the queue manager. It is like all the object, which is you see right here, and also I see on the graphical software on the MQ, all the object is located on a qmgr. I mean queue manager, I call them qmgr. And that's a local queue. Local queue actually is a queue that held the message, all the message. I would say that that's the actually only one queue that has a like physically held the message. On other one, you will learn other queues, but that's the only queue that held the physical message on that. So, and we have a different type of queues, like see, type that store their own data. We have a different type of queue, and a remote queue, alias queue, model queue, local queue, transmission. Like local queue also could be a transmission queue, initiate queue, dead letter queue, system default queue, even queues. So if you want, and let me, like a transmission queue is a routing data end to end, like from one queue manager to another queue manager. This transmission also is a local queue. And also dead letter queue is a like a queue that when we have a backup queue, but dead letter queue is on a manager level. Let's say this we want to send data to this one, this is not available, so we supposed to have a place to hold the data. So for that reason we must have another local queue that we should put the data there. So this one would have its own dead letter queue, which is a local queue. In case of local queue is not available to communicate with this application, they will hold it there. Once become available, they will forward it. So there's a dead letter queue. Probably sometime this application is not authorized to talk to the, or sometime the local queue is full, there's no space to send it more data. That's why we're supposed to have a space on a queue manager. We're supposed to have another object similar to local queue to all the data there. So that is on that level, it's working with that. Probably there's a 10 and 20, like, which I have it, like, let me show you. You see right now I have like a lot of queues, but on for all that queue I have one dead letter queue. Let's say if I have it, see dead letter queue. If you can go on a queue manager level, go on a property and extend, you see dead letter queue is right here. We could specify it to right here and pick it out which one is dead letter queue. You could do that, but I will show you through command line. This is just like to see it, like what is dead letter queue. Remote queue, like it would be exist on your queue manager, but it will represent another queue manager, because on a remote queue it is belong to another queue, but it still would be on your queue. It is like a remote queue. An alias queue, like as it say alias, we could put alias queue. Let's say we have a local queue, we call them local queue, and we could represent them with a different name. Probably for the reason we want to use it many places. If you want to use it many places, you could rename it with different names, give them alias name, and keep doing it using many places. We have a model queue, that is for the template. Model queue is like a blueprint, I will say, or template that define the characteristic and behavior of the queue. It is not the actual queue itself, but rather a predefined set of attributes that has and that queue can have. So when we create, you will see that. And we have a initiate queue. It is for a triggering. Let's say the reason is for triggering. Let's say this queue, I want to trigger it each, like we will create another scripting, like we will create the initiate queue, like each after 5 seconds we will trigger the message, like after 5 seconds run it, like that's for the triggering reason, like thing would happen, the event would happen. A system queue and defined queue and an event queue usually for like if something went wrong with our application, the event will be sent right here. Already say transmission queue. So those was the all, but we have like those was all the local queue. So how should we create it, those queues? So let me bring the, let's go bring the MQ IBM. That's why I'm using IBM console. You could use whatever console you like. The one you could go to watch on my first video. That's why I recommend you go and watch and download that one, and otherwise you could download IBM App Connected Enterprise. If you are familiar with IIB, you could use that console, and that also connected to the MQ. It worked fine, there's nothing wrong. Run it as administrator, and let me bring it. I'm gonna use that one. The purpose is just for learning, but you could download that one and practice and see. First we have a two type of command. One is we call them control command, and second we call them MQSC. Let me, if I wrote it somewhere, control command and MQSC. Control command is like a control command for the administration work, and MQSC like MQ scripting. This is a MQ scripting, CSS scripting. MQ, a message queuing scripting command. This is a control command and this is a scripting command. We have a two type of command. Control is for administration. Scripting is a we will create our administration job on that. And let's wait, my console go. Now let's, because we have a two type, we have a two qmgr. First we use a control command to display that. Either you say dsp, that means display, then you will say mq, so that will only display what qmgr you have. Like dsp means display, mq means mq means like message queuing. So we have a two queue manager. So queue manager name, I have a qmgr1 and qmgr2. The start is again running, and this is a hand immediately. This is when the start is running, that means it start. When it says that hand immediately is not run it. So if you want to run it, you could say let's not to run it, let's create another one. So if you want to create another one, you could say we have a lot of words. We could say str to start it if you want it. Let's start it first, str, then mqm, and we gave them the queue manager name. This time I wanna run this guy. I wanna start it this and run it. This now is started. See, starting. If you display it again, dsp display mq, and give them the name of we have a two now. The start is on both of them. This will display the qmgr. And what is, if you want to delete it, you could say delete qmgr. Let's say, let's create one, crt, like if you want to create it, and we crtmqm and name it anything. Let's say queue manager, manager1. Let's say queue manager 111114. We just create one. If you go to your software also, if you minimize it and refresh it, it will take some time. Once it come to right here, it will add it, but it takes some time. Let's see if I say refresh command. See, it added. But let's delete it back. We don't want it. Delete mqm. We write it. Delete mqm. Like we will delete that one and name it. What was the name of that? We want to delete that one back. Now we delete it. It's deleted, and you check and refresh it. Now no longer is there. And we want to stop it. We could say stp, I believe, stp mqm. Let's say we want to stop this one. stp qm stp qm. We will say end it. I'm sorry, end mqm, and we just give them the name. So this will stop outstanding words complete. You see, sorry, we shouldn't say stop. And if you come right here and see this stop working. So that was the control command. So we want to use now the MQ scripting command. How should we use the scripting command? First, we need to create one of the queue manager, which we create qmgr1. let's run that one. Since there's nothing in it, we will work on a qmgr too. So run. Let's start it first. I say start MQM and give them the name qmgr2. Hopefully this work. And if it's not, display MQ manager. We have a sometimes is a misspelling because it's a lower character. strmqm. We gave them the name, and that's now on. And now we say run. We will go to a scripting now. We will just write the MQM scripting. So if you want to run the MQ, you must say MQM scripting, and you will type the name of the qmgr. So run MQ. Run MQS MQ scripting, and type the name of that Q manager you want. See, now we run it. We are inside of that. We could, if you want to display all the attribute, like when I say attribute, I mean the property. If you click on that, you could change it through right here if you have it. See, those is the property. If you cluster all the stuff, this is the attribute, event type, and display cluster. So priority is 9, and if you want to display all the property of that, we will say display. Let's say display and type the name. This time we write it completely display because it's a scripting. Display, we write them qmgr. You see, this is the property. If you read it, this is the qname, it's a qmgr1, it's accounting, and you could read it like what is on that. You could read, and some of them, if you want to change it, we don't want to change it now, but you could change it if you want. Like we will say, let's check if we could find that letter q, because you want to change that you want to assign a letter q, you could assign a letter q to it. But this has no letter q. You see, this is the letter q. You want to alter it, you could alter it and assign a letter q. First, you need to create a qlocal. Let's say, how should we if you want to exit of this one, is easy. Just say exit, you will get out from it. And now is exit, but we're gonna run it back. Run MQ scripting and type the name of the qmgr. So display, again display qmgr. That will give you all the property. If you change it, you could say alter. Alter will change. Let's change the no, I don't want to change it. I don't know how I will change it. This, since I don't have it, I will create letter q, then I sign it. That way you will know how we change the qmgr property. So for right now, we will leave it like that. So let's create first the local q. How we create local q? We call them define. Once we see define qlocal, or you just write q, that means local qlocal, and we name them. Let's check first. You will see it also on the, because we shouldn't come right here. If you want to use command, you see we don't have anything. This is a qlocal, and we have like all the type right here too. You see, this is a qlocal. We don't have anything. If we create it, it will show right here. Let's create one. And qlocal, you name it. I will say sender. No, I will say local q. Local q1, local q. So that way and that's it. Define qlocal, local q. Now we defined it. Q is created. If you check it right here, and it takes some time. You see it coming now. It come. They're giving you the information. If you want to display those information, those property, this is like when it say open input count and open output count, like that would be to application, and there's a current dip, like if there's any message on that, and there's a those is important. Get message, put message, to put a message, to get a message, and those, just know those queues, like a remote queue manager if there was any. So leave it like that. You will, let's see, if you want to bring any change, you will see the property there, or if we create another one, you will see also the thing. Let's we want to display the data, the one we create local, say display qlocal, or you could say local, and what was the name of it? Local. This will display all the attribute. I mean, display qlocal, found it, and qlocal is not found it. The reason is not find it because we giving the wrong name. See, we gave them the wrong name. We mention it right here, qlocal. So just upper arrow, it would come the and type, and you see this, the giving you the information about this, the attribute, this is the property. If you want to see this property, you could left click and see it right here as well. If this is a persistent, if the message, the persistent, I'm gonna explain those one, what is it, but persistent means if message is important, you don't want to lose it. If something happened to a queue is not available, then you will not lose the message. If it's not persistent, if something happened to queue, the application is not working, for whatever reason the message do not deliver to the next application, you might lose it. They will delete it. And with persistent, they will keep it for you. And we have a backup queue too right here. This storage, say backup queue. We have a backup queue. You could pick it up if you want it. You could pick, but first we need to create backup queue. Is also like a dead letter queue, like in case if the data, I mean, if the queue is not available, they will put it there on the backup queue. So that was the local queue. And let's what was on we want to create all the type of local queue. How should we do it? One another thing, if you come and check on a property, this one, put message, if they say put message and get message, know about this is a very important. Those properties important. When you say put message, that means it's allowed to send message. When you get message, to receive message. If they say inhabit, you will not send or get it. So qlocal, they give you the type. It was, this is a normal queue. There's a qname and default priority and default persistent and scope queue manager, and usage is normal. If it's want to make it as a transmission queue is also local queue. If you want to make any local queue as a transmission queue, just change it right here. That will become transmission queue. Or let's create one queue and make it transmission queue. We will say usage. We will alter it and make it transmission queue. And also we will stop. Let's stop this one first. This one, make it inhabit to make it disable. How you do that? Just and say alter. We use alter qlocal. We gave them the whatever qlocal name was, a qlocal queue we gave them, and we say put was enable, it worked. Disable, let's first find it. You will see it less. I hope it doesn't take time. Let's find it. If you pay attention right here, we have it right here. We say put enable, that means we could send it. Let's say put disable, just paste it right here. Now take it to make it disable. So disable wouldn't able to send it, so we will make it disable, so that way they cannot disable. So let's run it qlocal and give them the name. Okay, local q. Now if you check, it is a disable. What is disabled anymore? No longer. You could change any of this data, but you make sure know what you're doing. Usage, you see the usage was normal. That means this is the normal, but if you want to make it transmission, you could make it transmission. So those data you could alter it the way you like it. Let's create dead letter q as well. So we will have a dead letter. Dead letter q also, as I said, defined as a local q. You just say local, name it anything. I say dead letter q, does enough. Dead letter q, because I don't like long name. I name it. Say define is one of this one. What do you like? You say I wanted this. When is mistake, you see dead letter q, name it dead letter q. If there's a mistake, give you. We define dead letter q. So let's just let's display it. And we give them this name. And check, this is a regular queue. I want to pass it to the, if we check our local queue, our qlocal, the dead letter, they don't have the dead letter q like. And let me show you even right here. We have a 2q, we create dead letter q. This is not this one. I want to make it dead letter q of local q. If you check it right here and go to property, you could change it from right here and pick the dead letter q. Just pick it and that become dead letter q. Now this become dead letter q for this one. What I mean, they'll become backup q. No, let remove it back. This is the I don't want a backup queue. Dead letter queue is a manager level. We just clean it as set. And let's check it once again and say okay. Now we change. Dead letter queue is on a manager level. If you come right here and go to extend and you see dead letter queue is on a manager level. If you want to pick it up from from the software, you could do it, but we will do it through command line. Let's do it through right here. So if you display, let's display qmgr, display qmgr. qmgr. If you display, we have a dead letter q, this one. We copy that one and say alter qmgr and give this one and name it the local q. We create dead letter q. I think we create that one. Now we change it. If you again display it, the qmgr, now we have a dead letter q. See, now it's dead letter q. If you also check it through software, just go to your software and you will have dead letter q. See, we sign it dead letter q. And one more thing, if you pay attention right here, you click on this sign, you will see all the system queue. See, you see all the system. If you want to see this system queue on a command line, you say display system queue. You will see as a system queue. So let's say this display display system queue. we need to write it system. If you write system and with a multiply sign, it will give you all the system queue, all the system queue. You see, there's all type of system queue we have it. Let's make transmission queue. Also, I explain what is a transmission queue. See, transmission queue is routing data, like a transmitting data from this queue manager to this queue manager, hand to hand. So it's working. So in order to, like, one more thing, in order to, like, a queue manager, queue manager talk to another queue manager and send the data to a local queue, they must have like a local queue, then have a center channel to initiate connection. Then you will forward to the listener, he will accept it, then it will send it to a channel, they will accept the initiate connection and forward to their local queue and to their application. So the first initiate call, they will put the message, the queue manager know where to which queue this message is belong, then the initiate queue will they will forward to the channel initiate the connection, and then there would be a listener who listen, there has a port number who listen and catch that and forward to the channel will put it to a local queue and that will go to application. The process is taking like that. But there's a MQ put call, there's a MQ get call, the give input and also input get call. So usually the call will be open and closed right here. Like I already told you, if you want to learn about all those calling, there's a different type of call you could learn and how the mechanism work. But basically there's almost all the mechanism. They might ask you about the call if you're going on a MQ call, because there's a different MQ call connection. Also, I will later on I will explain it, but right now we're just creating the basic, that's why we did not get it. But I will explain some of the call, the important call that we're using it, we're initiating it, how do we get to that position. So if you wanna create transmission queue, we're gonna transmission queue, I already said it will transfer data from a queue manager n to another queue manager n. So just say define and transmission queue, we already talked, is a local queue. That's why I want to teach you, I want to show you how to create it. Just name it trans, I will call them trans and trans queue. And that's why if you check any transmission queue, they check the usage. I will show you at the beginning, they call them normal. We need to change that one. Once you change that one, that becomes transmission queue. So they call them usage, and the abbreviation is XMITQ. This is the, so if you want to make the local queue as a transmission queue and we define it, you must change, either you just create it and go alter that one to transmission queue, or you do it on one, they will create a local queue, transmission queue. Let's run. What happened? Okay, now we define, if you check on our, let's check, we have a transmission queue. You see the sign is different for transmission queue. If you want to make it back as a local queue, come right here, go to the and remove it from, you see this is a usage, make it back normal. Let's make it normal. You see they become normal. But if you want to change it back to transmission, come right here and change it to transmission. That becomes transmission queue right now. So now on one, because we create transmission queue, we create local queue. Let's see what else is left. An alias queue will create a model queue, and an alias queue we call them MQ alias, we create that one, and we create a model queue, we call them queue model and remote queue. If you want to create remote queue, you need to mention few things, like you need to mention another qmgr. Like let's say right now I don't have another qmgr, I want to use this mqmgr as my remote qmgr, as my remote queue manager. And also you need to mention the remote queue of that queue manager. So let's say I want our queue, I will mention that one if it work, otherwise I will turn it as a remote queue. And this must, okay, let's do it. Our queue, this has a one our queue, and as a queue manager I will turn that one as a queue, our queue as a remote queue. And this one qmgr1, it's all bigger. Okay, let's do that one. Okay, say define queue remote. Remote, you must mention it. On a queue alias you say queue alias. For the model we say queue model to create a template. And for the remote queue, let's focus the remote queue, we name them remote queue. We give them all the name because this is important. Let's name it, then we're gonna alter it. You could mention it right away, but it is better name it. Let's display first and what information we wanna get. Queue remove. I'm gonna take that one. So if you check that one, the detail I wanna say, there's a transmission queue. There's a we need to mention few things. So on a remote queue we're gonna pass because we need some other like a remote. We need to create remote queue for that, and the queue manager and transmission queue. So we will come back on that when we creating distribution queue, so not to worry. Let's create alias queue. So let's say define queue alias, and we give them alias name, alias queue, and we will target it because I will show you why I call them targeted. On a property, when you display the local queue, you will say target. That means what queue you want it as a alias queue, because I told you alias queue you just put another name for it, like a nickname for it. I want a local queue as a alias queue. Now I make my local queue. I also, if I say alias queue, also referring to local queue. So if somebody use alias queue, they also would send a message to my local queue. So let's say display queue local and name it. So you will find the target queue, and let's check. No, we must check the alias queue name. Display queue alias and give them the alias name, alias queue. Okay, queue alias, what I'm doing wrong, there's a misspell it. Display queue alias. It's a midnight, that's why. Okay, see target. Now my target, that would be empty. If you check it before, if you alter it, you could do it. Now my target become local queue. So the last one is a this one would be the last one. Is a define a queue model. There's a model queue model, I believe. Say model queue, I name it model queue. Okay, we created this, like I already explained to you. This is just template for the model queue. So let's display it and see the property if you want. Okay, that's the property of the queue model, and check what we have. See, this is the temporarily dynamic. So what they create, like for the dynamic reason, like on the runtime. So I will that's all the model local queue. Now if you go on the queue manager 1 on a queue, we have model queue, transmission queue. You see, model queue is a kind of different assigned to. We have transmission queue, remote queue. We will add all the attribute to the remote queue, like a we will if there is that on a transmission, we will add the transmission queue to it. There is a transmission, we will add the remote queue. We need this one, is we need also remote queue manager. With this three data we need it: remote queue manager, and transmission queue. You could say right now our queue does it work. Queue manager 1 and transmission queue, this one which I have, and apply. This is our remote queue. See, it also sign get changed, but we will do it through property. The reason is I will tell you why. But leave it now. See you on the next video.